Hello, welcome to the Voters Diary. This is the Election Bureau. Thank you so much for making time to join us. Now, this week we'll be looking at some interesting constituencies across the nation. When I come back, I'll give you an idea of which constituency we'll be looking at for today's show. Stay with us, we'll be right back. So you're welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Kai Lokko. We'll be looking at one of the key constituencies in the Western region. That's the Essikado-Ketan constituency. It's currently the constituency of the Minister for Railways, the Honorable Joe Gate. Now, with me today to discuss this constituency is Kojo Akoto Boateng. He heads our new media department here at Citi FM and Citi TV. Kojo, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
Great. And I also have Selorm Adonoo, he's the head of features and articles here at Citi FM and Citi TV. Selorm, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
Okay. So before I pick your initial thoughts around this interesting constituency, I'm going to take you to that constituency proper. Earlier, our correspondent there filed an interesting report about the race, who gets the seat between the NDC's candidates and the MPP's candidates. Let's see that video.
Essikado-Ketan constituency is one of the coastal constituencies in the Western region, created out of the secondary constituency in 2004. Since its creation, the current Minister for Railways Development, Joe Gate, has represented the people of Essikado-Ketan, winning all the 4 elections for MPP. Whilst Joe Gate's vote from 2012 to 2016 dropped by 401, the NDC's parliamentary votes also dropped by 2,555 votes within the same period. After 16 years of a smooth ride to parliament, Joe Gate seems to now have a rare contender, Professor Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa of the NDC. The surgeon, with several years of voluntary social intervention for residents of Essikado-Ketan, has won the heart of constituents over the years.
I'll vote for Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa. I'm voting for her because she has done a lot of things for this community, even though she hasn't become the MP of this community yet. But she has done a lot of things. You can see this thing, she did this thing for the community. The MP here hasn't even done something like that in 16 years. Let me say that in 16 years, when he became our MP for this community, he hasn't done any developmental projects for us. But this woman has done a lot for us.
I'm Dr. Grace. On Sunday, I'm in a MPP in Ethiopia, but Moshe, for 16 years, Honorable Adonoo, I'm benefits biara. Like Adibia why what benefit time and what benefit maybe to have. And so I'm not doing as this Dr. Grace na maiden but to woman because not to mana I bibi wa obey benefit time.
Well, you got to obey. Adibia Pokibia, but I feel about to Abana, walk about 4 months or 3 months over to Abano. Now, oh yeah, me would the machine kisi park and the whole banner by parker. Meanwhile, all Baston constituency first, or the wise second 11 wise club, no the bay, no on no 100 wise. But say be a bay park here, and can be about 100 wise the park, so I will programs P. Many times I programs so to me a park. Banda work 4 months, honorable Joe Gate to me a borehole. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa no be a borehole. In the oil borehole libi.
Matwa Grace Ayensu-Dankwa. Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa. O sende oye besebia oya kukudufu. Onye de obaba beminarempo. Oyo man o za brofaba. No wo sebo ye ma menom na ye papa no ma. Wo program wo henia na ade no. Otumbe ye mo free. Wa ha ma ye hotohen.
enye Essikado-Ketan ofane Essikado-Ketan constituency nano odi the midjuma no wom ma yin nti we yisum de yato mana obotum waye ma osandam crowd ame.
The first-timer candidate for the NDC, Professor Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, says her candidature has brought hope to the people.
It's very exciting. It's different. We've never seen a woman in the race in Essikado-Ketan before. So the people are actually really excited. I am excited. I'm working really hard. Of course, I know that I'm coming in as the underdog or the unknown, but even more so, that is why the race is more interesting to me, because when you give me a challenge, I usually always go for it and I win in the end. So I'm very confident that I will win this election.
They're having challenges with that video rectified, and also pick the supporters as well as the MP, the Honorable Joe Gate's thoughts around this competition in a bit. But guys, welcome again.
Thank you.
Interesting constituency, one that we've seen the Honorable Joe Gate, a very formidable force there for like ever.
Yes, I mean Essikado-Ketan, very formidable, very urbanized constituency. Quite a number of educated people in the area. When you mention Essikado, one person whose name comes up on the non-political plane is the Nana Ketia, is it the fourth or the fifth, who is the paramount chief of the area, very educated man, very erudite. So I mean they add to the color of the area. So Essikado-Ketan is an interesting one. It was created in 2004 from the Second constituency. And so it forms part of the constituencies, about 4 or 5 or so, in the Second Takoradi municipal enclave. And so that is like one block in the old Western region scheme of things. There are other areas like the Seshri areas, which now form part of the Western North. Okay. And then we have the Inzima areas in the Western region, which will include Elebele, Jomoro, Valudra, etc. And then the gold mining areas, Takwa, Wasa, Pristia, etc. So, and a few others. So when you put all those together, that's the Western region you have demarcated into various blocks. So the Second Takoradi area is the most urbanized because it's a metropolis. And indeed, because of the oil find and everything, a lot of the oil companies are siting their offices in that part of town. So commercial activity is quite, is picking up. It's quite active, and a whole lot of things. And looking at the character of Joe Gate even makes the race in that constituency very interesting. He's been the sole candidate or the sole MP since the constituency was created. So indeed, he should have a lot going for him, but also he should have a lot going against it. But I think as the discussions go on,
we'll look at that. Kojo, your initial thoughts, then we'll return to that video.
Yes, it's an interesting place, part of the Second Takoradi municipal area. If you go to the area, there are 3 sub-metropolitan councils. That is the Second Takoradi and Essikado-Ketan, and these also make up constituencies. Quite an interesting mix of people as well, if you look at the people, because it's also part of the bigger port city, right, which is the Second Takoradi port city. You'd realize that expectations of the people are really high when it comes to trade, when it comes to transport infrastructure, when it comes to things that will put some good money in their pockets. So a very interesting place. Joe Gate is the MP of the area since the year 2004, when that seat was created. Was winning 71.4%, 2008 60.8%, 2012 58.2%. So you realize that 2004, 2008, 2012, MPP kept losing, and then NDC kept gaining. But in 2016, NPP gained a little bit more over the 2012 figure. So from 58.2, NPP moved to 59.3.
Okay. And
NDC was 39.9 in 2012. It dropped to 35.6. If you've listened to what some people have been saying about Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, they feel that the constituency has been voting for the NPP consistently, and we're not seeing development. But then if you also listen to what people are saying about Joe Gate, They are saying that since he became minister, this particular NPP government has brought some development to the area.
Okay.
They talk about railway development, they talk about the railway training institution, and a few other things. So split opinions, I would say, because people are saying Grace is injecting fresh energy into the constituency and maybe she's the alternative they need. People are also saying Joe has been there and now they're also seeing some progress. So it's going to be very, very interesting when we get into the 2020 elections to see who is going to win the constituency for presidential and also the constituency for parliamentary.
Okay. We'll return back to our initial video. Earlier, we brought you some supporters of Professor Dr. Ayensu Dankwa, as well as she herself spoke about her chances. Let's go back to that constituency and also take that of the Honorable Joe Gatti.
We've never seen a woman in the race in Essikado-Ketan before, so the people are actually really excited. I am excited. I'm working really hard. Of course, I know that I'm coming in as the underdog or the unknown, but even more so, that is why the race is more interesting to me, because when you give me a challenge, I usually always go for it, and I win in the end. So I'm very confident that I will win this election. I'm also very confident that I'm going to bring positive change. I'm going to be a generational thinker that will bring change and innovation to my constituency, especially when we talk about the plight of the women in Essikado-Ketan constituency. And second of all, when you look at my youth, is also another group that I'm very interested in. I'm interested in really bringing jobs and opportunity to our young people, because I think that is one of the biggest problems in the constituency, where most of the youth are, I would say about 70%, if not more, are unemployed.
For Joe Gatti's supporters, they have a lot of reasons to add 4 more years to the lawyer's already 16 years in office.
Yeah, I'm voting for Joe Gatti. Yeah, because he's done a lot in this constituency. He helped a lot of people. Politics is not about the physical aspect we see, but human, as it were, assistance also counts a lot. He helped so many people, find so many people jobs, assisted so many people in terms of education. You get it. He has done a lot more in this constituency.
The reason why I will go for His Honorable Joe Gatti is because of his hard work and the competency that he has for motherland Ghana. That's why I will vote for him.
I'm supporting Joe Gatti because seeing the infrastructure development he has done in our constituency, he's the best man to go for us and lead us coming 2020. So that's why I'll vote for him.
She has done a lot. He was given us opportunity as a minister for railway development. If you can see, you can see how he has done. Even where we are standing now, railway training school, before how it works, and now how Honorable Joe Gatti has completed. If you see from where they will do the workshop, everything, Honorable Joe Gatti has done a lot in the constituency.
The MP himself, Joe Gatti, believes those saying he has not achieved much are only spreading falsehood.
When you lie that we haven't done anything, and somebody lives in Kojo and knows what we've done in Kojo, that person will respond. When you lie that we haven't done anything, and somebody lives in Ketan and sees that the ICT center is there and serving his or her children, or the person herself or himself went to school in Ketan and has used the ICT center, the person will rise up. When you say we haven't done anything, somebody in Essikado knows that the Catholic school, the new block that was built by the Honorable Minister, who was then a member of Parliament from that time in the first school, the person will wake up. If you say we haven't done anything, and somebody is in Itamako and sees the JHS and knows that the JHS was built during President Kufuor's era, the person will wake up. And so people are rising all over the constituency in response to the lies that are being told. In fact, I must tell you that the candidate has been very helpful to us. The more the candidate lies, the more people respond.
Professor Dr. Ayensu Dankwa says she's not perturbed by those who want to push her down because she's a woman.
it's very difficult for women, especially in our cultural context, to come out and aspire to leadership because, that child really has to be somebody who is a go-getter, who's maybe a tomboy, and then that's the woman that, they try to repress and say, oh, okasa dodo, and you see, so by the time we grow up, they would have already labeled you on one of those things. And so those are some of the things that make women pull back and say that, okay, I'm just going to be quiet and be in the corner of the room. But, so far I think that in Ghana as a whole, the women have contributed from the beginning of time, and women are really the backbone of this Ghanaian economy, right? But if we persevere and we keep going and we focus on the goal and we stop listening to the noise, which is what I call the insults and the things that all the noise out there, then we can really get to our goal where we want to go.
So that's Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa. She's the candidate for the NDC for the Essikado-Ketan constituency, going together with Joe Gache, the Minister for Railway. Very keen contest, and both candidates look like they're really ready for this contest.
Very keen competition. But, for the electorate, I think it's a good thing. Competition is good. And competition brings out the best in people, and whoever wins. But let me address Jogate first. If he eventually wins this, it will make him sit up, because I think he's had it quite an easy race. He's not really had this kind of challenge. I mean, just watching from afar. I don't know how really it is on the ground, but just watching from afar and following on social media and news and everything, reading from papers, listening to people who have been there, it appears that Jogate is having the competition of his life. He's never had any such competition since he started running for this in 2004. So it is good. It is good for our political leaders to, not to feel so comfortable on the seat or when they are in power. They should know that there's always a viable alternative. When that alternative is not good enough, they know that people will not go for the alternative, so they can keep, in quote, misbehaving. This is not to suggest that Joe Gate is misbehaving, no. But it's a general point I'm making. So competition is good. So Joe Gate, a very accomplished lawyer, indeed, he's been Attorney General. And I think you can safely describe him as one of the young persons or people that Kufuor found, or who found a lot of favor with Kufuor. In 2004, when that constituency was created, he was made, and he came to power. He was made a Deputy Attorney General, and eventually, after a year or two, when Ayikwe Otu was moved as Attorney General, he was then asked to step in. I remember, a few of the times I went to court during the Chachu-Chikata days, I saw him himself come to court to argue in that case, and it was quite a sight to behold. Chachu argues, he also argues, and it was quite an exciting thing to do. So, very accomplished legal practitioner. He did quite well as Attorney General, and you can't take that away from him. He's been the sole MP for the area since its creation, 2004 till date. And like I said before, that opens him up for a number of things, because as a leader, the more you stay in power, the more, if you like, unpopular you get, because it is not everything you can solve. And so when people bring challenges to you and you are unable to solve them, they go away and there's word of mouth, they spread things about you. You solve some of them, but those ones you solve, they don't really go out and talk like the way those ones you're not able to solve will do. So that is the thing that happens. You can't solve every problem. You are just an MP. And so you can use your lobbying skills to get things done, but you can't do everything. So the more you stay, the more people think that let's try this other person, because perhaps, you've done your part, let this other person come and continue. So he's eventually becoming an Essikado Mugabe, because he stayed there for 16 years, and people are on the fringes who want to come. He's had a good career in Parliament. He became the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament in John Mahama's presidency. I recall that when the MPP started to fight or contest the election results in Parliament, the NDC wanted to punish the parliamentary party by not giving them the second deputy speaker. Indeed, the constitution says that the first and second deputy speakers must not come from the same party. So what has happened in the past is, if you recall the case of Freddie Blay was the first deputy speaker, and we had Ken Jirasa as second deputy speaker. In the following parliament, we had Freddie Blay as first deputy speaker and the gentleman from Yendi, I think Malik Yakubu also, becoming, who was also MPP, becoming second deputy speaker. So Freddie Blay and Yakubu or Malik were not from the same party. So people wanted a repeat of what happened in 2005-2009 parliament, where Malik was the second deputy speaker. Because in that parliament, when they were choosing or they were electing the speaker, the MPP, in an unprecedented move, proposed Peter Alajete, who was the speaker in the previous parliament, whilst the governing party or the majority in parliament at the time, led by Felix Owusu Ejepon, he became communications at some point. The MPP proposed Virginia Sechi Hughes, and it was an interesting thing because Peter Alajete, sorry I'm digressing, but I'll come back. Peter Alajete was coming with a background or from a background where the speaker did 8 years, DF Anand did 8 years. So when he was told that he was going to be removed and a different person brought in after doing 4 years, he was a bit hurt. And what he did was he mobilized the Gang caucus or the Greater Accra caucus in Parliament and told them that this was what was happening and this was what he was hearing, and that he had helped the party with some private money, etc., private practice, defended the party, done many things, and this was how the party was intending to treat him. He wasn't happy. So people like Theresa Mele Togo supported him to fight to the end. He was an Accra Academy O student. Dua Jaho, also an Accra Academy O student, but Dua Jaho then I think was deputy majority leader. They had a good relationship, maybe the old boyism thing. He called him and told him that this was what his people were planning and that he needed help. So Dua Jaho also goes to his boss at the time, Alban Bawin, and told Alban Bawin that this was what it was. So they have nothing to lose. They should go for Peter Alajete, and that there was support for him, and that if they did it well, they could win, and that would be historic. Indeed, the NDC had nothing to lose, so they went for it. And so when the MPP in Parliament proposed Virginia Sechi Hughes, NDC also proposed Speaker Peter Alajete, which was interesting. But the parties had spoken before, and they were told that if you propose Peter Alajete, we will not give you the second deputy speaker position. So that is it. So when they proposed Peter Alajete, true to their word, the MPP also did not give them the second deputy speaker position. So that second deputy speaker position went to, I think, Malik Yakubu, who MP for Yendi at the time, and he was the interior minister before the Yendi matters happened, and so he had to resign. So he came back with that position. So what I'm saying is that in 2000, when Joe Gatti was becoming the second deputy speaker, the NDC wanted that same treatment meted out to them to be done to him, because they said if you challenge the election in court, we will not give you the second deputy speaker position. So, but I'm sure they spoke behind the scenes, and I hear John Mahama and Co said, doesn't matter, let's give it to them. So Joe Gatti became the second deputy speaker of Parliament. That's what I'm going with that. So he did well, I think, as the second deputy speaker. MPP eventually won the 2016 election. He was made the railway minister and currently holds that position. I remember when in the early days of the administration, when the Ijako 3,000 bribe scandal broke in Parliament, that he paid them some money to pass him at the vetting, the speaker constituted a committee and made Joe Gatti the chairman of that committee to investigate whether indeed money exchanged hands before Parliament approved that speaker. So he's been quite an influential force in Parliament, and he's done quite well. But whether what he's done is indeed all there is to be done as MP for the area, and whether what he's done really is a reflection of what his capability or capacity is another thing. And whether indeed, given the opportunity, Dr. Grace Dankwa Yensu can do better is another matter. I don't know if I can talk about Grace now.
We'll go to it after the break, because we have a few minutes to go to the break. But I want Kojo to take us through the figures again, because earlier they were saying that Joe's figures dropped all the way to 2016 at a point, and then went a bit up in 2016.
He entered Parliament in 2004 with 71.4% of the votes, right? And then in 2008, he retained his seats with 60.8% of the votes. And then in 2012, he retained the seat with 58.2% of the votes. And then in 2016, he increased slightly to 59.3%. So between 2004 and 2012, there was a downward trajectory. And then 2012, 2016, it came up a bit. Now, Selorm has given us a bit of the history and the work he's done in Parliament. But when it comes to the conversation about development of the constituency, he's said before that he was in slavery under the NDC government.
Okay.
In making a point to his constituents to ensure that they retain the NPP in office, he said that when the previous government was there, no development was being pushed to his area. So that's explained to him. That is the reason why his people were not seeing development that they wanted to see.
Okay.
But now his government is in office and they are seeing something. So it should show them that if they maintain the NPP, they are going to continuously see development.
But is that a good enough excuse, especially when we've had cases of MPs whose governments were not in power, yet there was some kind of development seen in their constituency? And being a formidable and influential politician, for that matter, to give that excuse, is it something that, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, so exactly the case, because, I mean, when you are pushed to the wall, you must give an excuse. To say that, of course, I heard him say that he was treated as an orphan the whole 8 years of the NDC.
Yes, actually, it was on Citi Tube that he said that.
Face-to-face.
Yes,
yeah, we'll pull that video after the break.
So that could be true, but given your influence, if that's the case, then persons in areas, in opposition areas, should not see any development. So I think it's quite a flimsy excuse. It's quite a flimsy excuse because he was MP before Kufuor left. He was a cabinet minister before Kufuor left, and 8 years, MDC came and he's come back as an MP and as a minister for railway development. I don't know if he's a cabinet minister now. It is it's a flimsy excuse because I think now he feels the heat. In the past, I'm not sure Thomas Brown gave him the competition. Grace Dankwa Ayensu is giving him now. Ayensu Dankwa is giving him now. So it's quite obvious that he's feeling the heat. That excuse won't buy water. I mean, how about areas which have always been in opposition? Yeah. But they've tried to get things done. And your value as MP really is, as they tell us, is your ability to lobby and get things done in the area. You lobby not just the government, but you lobby other persons. So, I mean, Grace Ayensu Dankwa, for example, a number of things she's doing now. She's not in power, she's not in government, she's not an MP. But we understand she does vocational training, whatever that means. She does vocational trainings for hundreds of young people in the area. We understand she does free screening for hundreds of people in the free health screening for hundreds of people in the area. She's a doctor, so she leverages on her networks to get those things done. Jogate is a lawyer. I don't know how much of benefit that people have had from his legal strength or experience of being a lawyer. So to say that because of course, the big projects like schools, etc. What is he saying? There are municipal chief executives who are there in the time that a government is in power, like NDC, for example, was in power. Are you saying that the NDC would deliberately starve the area when they need votes from them, when they have a mayor who have to look good? Because every part should benefit from the national cake somewhat. So I don't think it's a good excuse to give at all.
Okay, but
this is not to defend him, but sometimes when you look at development, and I've said this on radio before, sometimes governments push development to where they'll get the most votes. They know that the votes are assured. And we've seen some in a lot of the constituencies around here.
But if we go by your figures that you gave us, at a point the NDC was getting 50-something, right? Or 40-something%.
No, the NPP has not hit 40 yet.
Okay.
They were at 39.9% in 2012, which was very close to 40.
And then 2016,
35.6.
Which I mean, it's climbing up nicely.
So they increased from 26% all the way to 39.9.
In 2012, for example, Jogate got 24,000, and the NDC candidate Thomas Brown had 16,000.
Yeah.
So, if they want to push things somewhere to see if they could cause a change, it would be a good place to do this.
Okay, well, guys, it's getting heated here. We'll take a quick break, but are you from that constituency? Send us a message via Facebook or Twitter. Who would you be going for? Would you be going for the Honorable Joe Gatti or Professor Dr. Grace? Let us know. And what do you think about developmental projects in that area? Send us a message via Facebook or Twitter. Remember to add the hashtag Voters Diary, or you can send us a message via the number that's currently on your TV screen. We'll be right back.
It is Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? A new car, a vacation, or expand your business? Make your wish and have it come true in the 100 days of Christmas with a Republic Bank Christmas loan. The Republic Christmas loan is quick, easy, and so affordable with super fast turnaround time. Come into any of our branches nationwide. Call or WhatsApp 055-654-3212 or apply online via republicghana.com. Remember, wear your nose mask, stay safe. Republic Bank, we are the one for you.
He's competing with Dr. Grace Ayensu Dankwa as well, and that contest promises to be a keen one. So, guys, let's look at Dr. Grace herself. What are her chances coming against somebody like Joe Gatti, who is very, experienced in politics and, for that matter, parliamentary contest?
Well, Joe Gatti has alluded to the fact that he's not even looking at Grace Ayensu at all, because in fact he said she's the least, or in fact by far she's the weakest contender he's faced.
Okay.
So that's what he has said. So maybe Grace Ayensu is no competition for him at all. Maybe we are just here talking. Maybe the competition itself is not there. So that's fine. But Grace Ayensu, I think she brings some energy to the race. That's not disputed at all. I think she is vibrant. She's youthful. And she is a role model for a lot of the younger people in the area. She's a medical practitioner. Of course, Jogati is a lawyer, so it's either a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, that kind of thing. So, I mean, she appears clearly as a role model who is in touch with the people, drawing a lot from her femaleness. I mean, dealing with matters like the way women would deal with them, endearing herself to the people. She has time on her side. That's one advantage I think she has over Jogati. Jogati is a minister, is an MP, so a lot of his time and attention is in Accra. She can decide to spend the whole month in the constituency. Jogati may not be able to do so because he has other obligations or engagements to deal with. So that is one thing that for now she benefits from. When she becomes, or if she becomes MP, that will change, but by then she would have been MP. She, I think, is good at using the social media to her advantage. If you follow her, you realize that she's always commenting on things, dealing with things on the national scale, or level, and dealing with issues in the constituency. So, for example, 16 years, Jogati has done nothing. I don't believe Jogati really has done nothing.
Okay. So I want to hold you to hold on to your thoughts. I want to go to the phone lines and speak to her, Professor Dr. Grace Ayensu Dankwa, to pick her thoughts on this keenly contested race. Of course, she's part of it. Dr. Grace, if you can hear me, welcome to the Voters Diary.
Pardon?
Welcome to the Voters Diary.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you too?
I'm wonderful.
Okay. Great. If you can speak up for me, your line appears to be a bit faint. But how is campaign going on in the constituency for you?
Oh, so far so good. The campaign is going really well. We're excited. I think we've come a long way. As the underdog, we've come a long way. So we are very excited. We are convinced that we will win.
Now, your opponent, I mean, we all see you as an underdog, of course. Your opponent feels that you are one of the weakest contenders he's seen since he started this race in 2004. I mean, what really are your chances in this constituency coming against somebody like Joe Garte, who is a very experienced politician, for that matter?
I think we've already won the election. I think that people are tired of the 6 years of no development rate, and the people want change, and they believe that I am going to bring that change that they need. Because that old kind of politics that we have started, which I call the dying breed politics, meaning the politics of old, of divisiveness, of if you're not in my party, don't come to my house. If you're not part of the party, I won't help you. I think that constituents and the youth are tired of that kind of politics and looking for something new and something refreshing. And they want new and innovative ideas. And that is what I brought to the constituency and to the constituents, and the people are extremely excited about it.
Now, over the period from 2004 to 2016, if you look at the figures for the NDC and the MPP, your party and its candidates, it's fielded over the period, has yet to clock the 40% mark for all this period. What differently are you doing this time round to overturn these results?
I believe that this time with a new candidate, of course, we've never had a woman in the race, so the fact that I'm a woman and a new candidate, and I've already done a lot of work in the constituency, even before I'm running for the office. So the people have seen all the work I've done within the constituency, which I started way back in 2012, and I didn't even know I was going to run for office. I have been offering the constituency as a medical doctor. I've been offering the constituency free medical care since 2012. I've given all the hospitals within my constituency equipment, PPE. I have done almost over 20,000 operations within the constituency, surgeries, and everything was free. So the constituents know that I'm offering something different, and that is why they are going to vote for me come December 7th, 2020. Not just me, but my family is very philanthropic, and we have done the only library within the whole entire constituency was built by my brother, and the new wing of the hospital was also built by my older brother, Akoto, and his group. So we are very excited that finally we have somebody who's a home girl and who's back to help the constituents, and especially in terms of youth unemployment and youth empowerment. I'm doing a lot of work as we speak right now. Yesterday I matriculated about 52 girls, none of which I know which political party they belong to, and we are going to go to various trades. I have given a lot of equipment and machines and sewing machines and hair dryers to all the graduates, most of the graduates and students or the people in technical and vocational education that graduated this year. I've already started a micro credit loan called the back and back credit, which has already benefited over 250 women, and we're shooting for 25,000 women to cover. So we're doing a lot of work which we haven't seen in the constituency before. So I strongly believe that the past results are not indicative of what's going to happen this year.
It looks like your focus has been on education, health, trade, and vocational training, among others. What other areas are you hoping to play a key role if you win the seat?
Well, I'm looking at, I have a 4-year strategic plan, which I have divided into 7 thematic areas. Each of the thematic areas is the first one is education. We have health. I have security and social interventions. I have what I'm going to do with my statutory fund. So when you look at the document, we have 7 thematic areas, and we're going to make sure under each area we are really specific of what we can do or what we will do, and we have also benchmarked ourselves with specific numbers. For instance, when I talk about youth and employment, I'm looking at trying to achieve a youth of 35 to 50% reduction in the next 4 years. So everything we are doing, we have actually put on paper as a 4-year strategic plan. We are presenting it to the community, and the community will use that document to judge us come next 4 years.
All right. Dr. Grace Ayensu Dankwa, we wish you well, and come December, we'll see how things go. But all the best with your campaign.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all the listeners for listening to what is happening in the Essikado-Ketan constituency. We are extremely confident that we are going to win this seat. Thank you.
All right, thank you too. So that's Dr. Grace. Selorm, you're making some points about her. I'll take Kojo as well. Then I give you a quick clip from Jogate as well. Then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. So I was saying that she appears quite strong on social media. Talking about almost everything political, and appears to have some good following as well. Of course, elections are not won on social media. I don't know if it could be an indication of what will happen on the ground, but the election is in the Essikado-Ketan constituency. I think that she is making the right noises. I mean, so that as to the social media thing, she's on radio, she's on TV, NDC is using her in very, very strategic senses. She was part of the NDC COVID-19 technical team, showcasing her technical ability. She's been on the point of view a few times to talk about things like that, obviously showing that in her own right, she's competent. She's a surgeon. She's competent, and she knows her onions when it comes to doing her own things. And I think she's trying to use her networks quite well, so organizing health screening exercises, helping people deal with surgeries, etc., bringing in people from abroad to come and help the people in the communities. I mean, doing all those things, the soft things, doing those things that people will every day expect from their MPs. People actually sometimes want somebody to just hear them or speak to them. So basically, I think she's on the ground. But the interesting point to make is that whether she wins or Jogate retains the seat, when it comes to Essikado-Ketan in Parliament, there'll be no dull moment, because putting Grace Ayensu in Parliament, Grace Ayensu Dankwa, Akoto is a different person. Putting Grace Ayensu Dankwa in Parliament surely will still put some spotlight on Essikado-Ketan. She won't be a quiet MP. She will try to move things. She will try to go places to get things done for their people. Jogate too has been doing that. He's a huge figure. So already Essikado-Ketan is popular because of his presence. And I think if she is to come, she will surely have to build on what Jogate has done. I'm not sure it will be one of those constituencies where when the person leaves, the big man leaves, you don't hear of the constituency again. So they are fortunate to have these two people in that race. Any of them who wins will do the constituency good.
Okay.
Well, I think Selorm has mentioned, so Joe is big. He's a lawyer. He's big on infrastructure now because he's railways minister. So if the NPP wins and he wins, since the railway sector is one of the key things, and the president has on different occasions commended Jogate as one of the most hardworking ministers, it's expected that he'll be retained, and his activities at the legislature and the executive will still be seen. Now, Grace comes in with a medical background. When COVID-19 hits and we were having the general conversation, she was one of the people who was speaking a lot on the side of the NDC, contributed to a lot of the national discussions. If the NDC wins, or if she wins and goes to Parliament, I am seeing her also being active with the health committee or related matters. She's going to be more of an Akoto boy, young, vibrant, knows her onions, loves to talk. So we are going to, whichever way the thing goes, we are going to see somebody who actually knows what they are doing when it comes to their professional area, and it's also a bit more vibrant. So the constituency is going to give us somebody we are going to feel and see.
But will she be able to, like, as you know, Selorm was saying earlier that maybe we are seeing things differently in Accra and all that. But I mean, will she be able to cause a stir, or will she be able to claim this seat, considering the candidate she's going against?
I think we have some 23 days more to go, and that's a long time in politics. I remember in 2008, the same thing was said about Jomoro, when Samia Nkrumah, was making the waves. Leo Kran said, "Oh, this woman, she can't even speak the language of the people."
So in this 21 days exactly.
21 days, okay.
Yeah.
He would defeat her, So sometimes you can't really tell. Sometimes the noises are genuine. You know, there are times that the noises are not anything to write home about. But given the experience of how Samia Nkrumah defeated the experienced Leo Kran in Jomoro in that election, I think that Jogate, of course, Jogate knows that this is a competition for him, but he won't admit that this is a competition for him. If he admits that this is competition for him, if he doesn't say it well, it will deflate his base, or deflate the confidence of his base and energize the other people. So he has to say that by far this is the weakest candidate and that he will win and even win her own polling station. You know, let's see. With the experience of Jomoro, I won't write her off. I will really be watching to see which of the two will make it. I'll not be surprised whoever wins. If Jogate wins, yes, that's no surprise. If the lady wins too, I will not be very surprised, because I think she's putting in the work, and that is what matters.
If you look at the Western region and the, what do you call it, the electoral areas and the polling stations, maybe one of these days when we are doing the analysis of the areas, we should be looking at the electoral areas, what type of people are there. If you look at the Essikado-Ketan area, there's a portion of West Fijai in the area, right? There's Ahimfie, there's Kansarodo number 1 and number 2 in the area, right? There's Bakado in the area. There's Nketiakrom in the area. There's Malam Town. There are all these areas: Koko Training School, AME Zion Church, the courthouse in Selorm Park, and all these areas. Now, if you look at the types of people who live there, the jobs they do, their aspirations, if you look at the developments that they've seen in the area, and then you also look at what the people are saying and what the people are doing, it will give you an idea of how it's going to go. I think that based on the trends we've seen, and based on the development patterns we've seen, based on the statements that we've heard, and the reports that we have of the people and their expectations, Essikado-Ketan is going to be a close race. I may be wrong, but based on the data, historical data, 71.2 in 2004, kept falling all the way to 2012. Then 2016, there was a marginal gain. As of 2012, NDC had moved from the 20s to almost 40%. And then in 2016, there was a marginal gain. The people had been saying that Jogate was not doing anything. He admitted that indeed he couldn't do anything because he was a slave during the 8 years of NDC. And now things are being done. But how are the people feeling the things? What are their experience under this particular government? The health work that Jogate organized, it was very heavily patronized. There were a lot of people who went for the health work. The activities of Grace Ayensu as well. We are seeing a lot of people patronizing that, right? So for me, I'm getting the feeling, based on all the factors, that it may be a close race, very, very close race. Grace could go into parliament. Jogate could be retained in parliament.
It's difficult to call.
Yeah.
The way you said the first one. But let me take some few messages from persons in the Western region, other from the constituency proper. This one says, good afternoon. I actually stay in Takrade, but not in Essikado constituency. Fortunately, I know much in that constituency. To be honest, Honorable Joe has done nothing. I tipped the woman to win, and she's going to win hands down. This is Evans, Airport Ridge, Takrade. Okay. Hashtag Voters Diary. Vivian, there are some constituencies in the Western region that are strongly MPPs. Examples are Essikado, Takrade, and Sekondi. When we are heading towards election, NDC tends to be a competitor, but at the end they lose. I witnessed that in 2012 and 2016. But I think Jogate should be up and doing if his constituents aren't happy. This is from Alberta. This one says, this is Isaac from Medina. He says, I pray that Dr. Dankwa wins the seat. There needs to be a change in that constituency for progress for the people. Kweku from Ahinkofi says, it's been 16 years now, and there isn't anything significant to show for the constituency. I am from Ahin Kofi in the constituency, and I'm daring Joe Garte to show me a single project in this town during a 16-year stay in power. Enough of this, you say, Kweku from Ahin Kro. So I'm going to go to the video, that interview with the Honorable Joe Garte done by Umaru Sanda, and then we'll wrap up the show.
We've done the road from Kojo to Essikado.
Which period was this? Kufuor's time?
No, Akufo's time. We did it Kufuor's time.
Okay.
Then it got spoiled for 8 years.
Okay.
They didn't repair it.
So that's road. What else?
And then we came, stop. You said only one road. Why?
No, I'm saying that, no, so that's road. What
that's
else?
One road. We are doing the Benin Chrome, Agric, and Crawford Road.
You're working on it?
We are working on it. They've sealed it. We are doing Kansawardo to Mampon Road. It's about 6.5 kilometers. We are doing BU roads. I mean, I'm doing so many roads, so that I didn't forget all the roads.
So road is your priority?
You know, the interesting thing about Essikado-Ketan is that it is a new part of Sekendi Takoradi.
So it's a developing area?
It's a developing area. It's like, I mean, it's like Shariboche, it's like East Legon. Some of the, I go to play, every area has a ridge or a hill. The Beneko Ridge, Fijai Ridge, this ridge. And the kind of houses that are there are more beautiful than the house in Accra.
Is Dadabi area?
I mean, that's up to you. I don't want to, but...
So aside roads, let's talk about, say, health. What do you do in health?
Only health, what is happening just because the president brought ambulance bay concerns, we are building an ambulance bay.
Ambulance bay.
Of course, we are building an ambulance bay. We've helped the Fijai, there's a Fijai clinic. We've helped them over the years. We did a chip compound in a number of places. As I speak, we are doing another chip compound in Adonoo. There was a place which was Antabasa. We did a chip compound. We're about to change it to solar because my plan is to change all my chip compounds to solar.
Okay.
So they don't have problem with electricity because we had a good offer from somebody who was going to give us solar. But you know, our people rushed and went to do something else, so I've left it alone. After the election, I'll change all my chip compounds to solar.
I see.
So that's in the health.
What about the markets? You have markets in your constituency. What did you do?
Kojo market, we developed the market. It was nothing like what it used to be. And then we built stores and so on. And we built a small market in Ketan. As I speak, sword has been cut for a building of a market in Kansawardo. We are going to build another market in Tankofo. And let me tell you how come we are building so many markets. Building of a market is the job of the assembly. It's not a job of the MP. But President Akufo-Addo and his government brought what we call $1 million per constituency.
Yes.
The $1 million is not in your pocket. There are people who are going around and saying that MP has $1 million. If you add $1 million, you see it on me. It's not in your pocket. It's with Coastal Development Authority. Okay. And one of the things that they allow you to do is to build markets.
So you have a coastal constituency, don't you? Your constituency is a coastal one.
Yes.
How is your beachfront like? What have you done differently from what we see on other beachfronts where people engage in open defecation?
I'll prefer if you ask them, because my beachfront is wonderful. We have two beachfronts. One place called Injesia, another place called European Town. European Town is where my great-grandfather's house is. That's where the first railway line, Bisu House, that's where the first railway line started. Yeah. The ladies in European Town come from mainly the central region, John Mahama, so there's a Ghana community there as well. And you know, people, they migrate, they follow the fish, they do business. And they wanted a place to lay their heads. So in 2015, and that's another example of how you are maltreated when you're in opposition. I wrote a letter, I have a copy of the letter to the assembly, that the ladies want a place to lay their heads. So use my common fund to construct it for them. Nobody happened. They didn't. I mean, they didn't even acknowledge the letter. The beautiful thing about
this will be the assembly.
The assembly. Yes, because the common fund. Yes, because the common fund is there. The beautiful thing, especially about Captain Kojo, was there. He was a very nice person. I mean, he was very nice to me, and he smiled to me every time.
But he didn't make any.
He didn't reply to me. But anyway. So what have I done at that place? We came to power. Truth be told, there are a lot of things that I forgot about it. In February this year, December last year, I got a visit from this woman who said, "You remember about that thing we asked you to do? It hasn't been done." I said, "Really? I thought assembly we should have done it." I said, "No problem." February I visited them, and we've rehabilitated a place for them. I'm going to Castle next week.
So what is it supposed to be?
What's a place for them to stay?
I see. So they live there.
It's a hostel. They live there. They go away. They live there. So it's like a hostel. It's a huge colonial building that we've rehabilitated.
we've done a stairway down. We've done sheds at the beachfront. When you go to India, say we've done sheds. But the most important thing for this fisher community is.
So that interview, Honorable Joe Garte with Umar Sanda Amadou on Face to Face. So you heard it from the guy himself. You have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Well, all I can say is it will be a close race, or it's actually a competition to watch, a constituency to watch. This one, the one in, where Ignatius Bafoewa is, the employment minister, and a few other constituencies.
Sunyani West
will be constituencies to watch. I would not be surprised, if Jogate loses or even if he wins. My mind is prepared for anything.
Yeah, okay. Kojo?
Yes, I think the candidate should put in a lot of work. This is the home stretch. If you want to win, I think it's going to be a close race. And whatever is done between now and December 7 could make a change. So Jogate, Grace, Sudankwa, this is their time to really push to get that margin they want to win. Okay. But it will be great to have any of them in Parliament.
All right, we'll see how it pans out. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Kojo Akoto Boateng, Head of New Media, and Selorm, Head of Features and Articles. My name is Vivian Kai Lokko. Thank you so much for joining us. The repeat of this show is at 10 p.m. tonight, but we'll return tomorrow afternoon again at 3. Goodbye.
Voter's Diary is sponsored by Samsung. Samsung, inspire the world, creates the future.